Welcome to our annual top cordless comparison.
We focused our testing on the most popular vacuums and we broke it down our recommendations into 4 price ranges.
Let's start with our entry-level vacuums.
So last year we really loved the Black & Decker Power Series Extreme for pets, but this year we have a new winner, which we'll get to in a minute.
But first, the Black & Decker feels sturdy and it has a really great head design that works well on carpet and hardwood. We dumped 40 grams of sand onto our test carpet and it picked up 96%. Now that's a great score for an affordable vacuum. Airflow at the wand was 27 meters per second. That's really good. Suction at the wand was 22 kilopascals. Also really good, especially at this price point.
Now battery life is up to 55 minutes, but in real life on the high setting, you'll see around 30 to 35 minutes. You can swap batteries between any tool or vacuum in the Black & Decker ecosystem. However, at this entry-level price, there are some downsides.
First, this canister is kind of small and it's not sealed. So fine dust is definitely getting back into your room. And second, if you have fluffy cats that reenact the chase scene from Mad Max on a daily basis, you'll find that hair gets tangled up in the brush roll.
Oh, that's not tangled.
You know, I wrote that line about the Mad Max thing and the hair getting tangled up, but actually it seems to be like surprisingly anti-tangle, so I take that back.
And we've got 2 more recommendations. The runner-up is the Hoover One Power Evolve Pet. It's pretty basic, but it does have a very large capacity canister and it picked up 95% of the sand that we put on the carpet. Airflow at the head was 5 meters per second, which is below the Black & Decker, and the canister also isn't sealed. And since it's made by TTI, which also makes Ryobi, you'll see it's pretty much a clone of the Ryobi high capacity. But I'll recommend the Hoover since it's usually quite a bit cheaper.
And that brings us to our affordable winner, the Kenmore Elite CSV DS4095. Kenmore sent this to me and I did a whole video on this, which I'll link down below. On carpet, the Kenmore picked up 96%. Suction of the wand is 20 kilopascals, which is quite high, especially at this price point. Airflow at the wand is 16.3 meters per second, which is really strong. And it's very lightweight at just 6 pounds. Even I can lift it. It also turns into a hand vac, but the big reason why it's my pick for top affordable cordless is that the canister is sealed, or at least partially sealed. And at this price point, there ain't nothing else that's got a sealed canister. Now sadly, like every vacuum in this category, except the Black & Decker it seems, it does get pretty tangled up with pet hair.
Okay, let's see what we got. You know, not bad. Got some tangles on here, but it's not as bad as I expected.
And also the battery life is pretty weak. It's claimed at 40 minutes, but if you run it at high, you're gonna get about 25. The next category is the lower to mid-price category, and the first pick is the Tineco Pure One S11. The Tineco has something called eye loop technology. What is that? Well, it detects when there's dirt on your floor and it says, "I hate dirt," and it's gonna move the display from purple to red and back to purple again, depending on how much dirt you've picked up. Pretty cool. The Tineco picked up 100% of the dirt we put on carpet. Obviously, that's an excellent score. Suction at the wand is 23 kilopascals. Pretty strong number. Airflow at the wand is pretty strong at 19.9 meters per second. Not as good as the Dyson, but still a solid score. Airflow at the head is around 10 meters per second. Again, not as strong as the Dyson, but at this price point, pretty good. The battery life is actually really strong with this, but there is one little downside, is that this head is not too amazing on hardwood. It tends to serial plow cereal if you like to dump that on your hardwood, and it just doesn't pick it up as well as some other vacuums. In our smoke test, we found the Tineco canister was very well sealed with little leakage.
Next, we have the Shark Rocket Pet Plus, which is one of the earliest vacuums that we ever reviewed.
We're the vacuum nerds!
And it comes with HEPA filtration and a sealed canister, which is pretty nifty. But this Shark vacuum comes with a trick. It has something called Dirt Engage technology, which allows for more contact with the floor with its 10.5-inch head.
That's a big head.
It is a big head. So this vacuum comes with 3 different settings, low, medium, and high, plus a secret trigger. On our hardwood test, it got 100% of the test material and 98% on carpet. And it also came back with one of our higher ratings for suction and speed, coming in at 25 meters per second and 14 kilopascals of suction.
Next up in our mid to high price category, we've got 2 Sharks and a Hoover. Let's start with the Shark Stratos. What's that smell?
I think that's the odor neutralizing technology.
Yes, it's the odor neutralizing technology. It's kind of a gimmick, but it makes your home smell like fresh laundry or daisies. It also has clean sense technology, which is an infrared sensor which detects when your floor is dirty and ramps up the suction, like some of the other vacuums you've seen in this test. It also comes with a dusting brush tool. It's okay, it's not a shark sawfish. It attacked you.
I still have nightmares.
And compared with the Shark Vertex we're gonna talk about next, it has a bigger canister. Do you have canister envy?
Maybe.
This also has a display which shows you how much power you've got left on the battery.
Now you could say the Shark Vertex is the Shark Stratos' ugly twin. It does not come with a heads-up display, but it does have the nifty...
This one doesn't come with a heads-up display either, because it's not a car.
Now you could say the Shark Vertex is the Shark Stratos' ugly twin.
Because they're basically like
look
the
very
same, yeah.
However, it doesn't come with an LED display and it doesn't come with the Lysol smelling odor neutralizer, but it does have a dual brush as well as flex technology.
They both have duo clean power fins, anti-tangle technology, which works. So it's actually pretty anti-tangle. You can see a little bit of hair got tangled up on the combs, but really good otherwise. Up to about 60 minutes of runtime, HEPA filtration, and all the Sharks have a sealed canister, which is great. And in our tests, they both picked up 98% of the sand we left on carpet. For both the Shark Stratos and Vertex, suction at the wand was 17 kilopascals. We measured airflow at the wand at 19 meters per second. That's a pretty high number. Airflow at the head was 3 meters per second, which is pretty average. Now, as we're shooting this video, both of these are exactly the same price, but at the regular MSRP, this is about 150 bucks more than this. So my recommendation is if you can find the Stratos on sale, get it over the Vertex. But the Vertex is a really good vacuum, same performance, but this just comes with a few extra features. Next up is the Hoover One Power Emerge Pet Plus. Ridiculous name, but you know what? It sort of looks like this over here, this Ryobi. This is the Ryobi Advanced, and the battery is different, but the rest is kind of the same. Why is that?
Oh, they're made by the same company.
It's called TTI. It's an American company, and they make both these vacuums. However, I think the Hoover is a better value because you can usually find this for a better price, and you get more tools with this too. So, in my opinion, go for the Hoover. But let's talk about the features. In our sand pickup test on carpet, the Emerge scored 92%. Suction at the head is 19 kilopascals, which is a little bit better than the Sharks that we just mentioned. In our smoke test, the Hoover Emerge canister was not very well sealed, letting out a fair bit of smoke. Now compared with the Ryobi, you get 2 batteries and this dual charger, so it'll charge one battery after another, so you can keep vacuuming room after room after room after room and never stop. And it comes with 2 tools, this crazy tool that comes apart just like that, and this pet hair tool, because I got some pets. Next up, let's get into our bougiest category, the high end. Because that's how we roll. Welcome to the bougie part of this video. So my personal preference at the higher end are the Dyson vacuums. I use the Dyson V15 every day. It's my personal vacuum to clean my house because my cats like to make a lot of fur everywhere. And one thing that I like is the fluffy laser head. I think that's a really great feature. It is not a gimmick. You get 2 different heads with the V15. You get the fluffy laser head. You also get a motor bar, which works on carpets. Now, if you're thinking about getting the Gen 5, I actually prefer the V15 Detect because it is smaller. The Gen 5 is a much bigger vacuum and it's more expensive and it's just a little bit more difficult to handle. This is a total of about 7 pounds and this head is not that heavy. It's got a cool little screen that shows you how many particles you've picked up, and yeah, that's kind of a gimmick, but I kind of dig it. Like a lot of these vacuums, Dyson separates the dirt from the air by using multiple cyclones. I think there's like 8 or 15 or 2,000 or something in this vacuum. Come at me, guys, but it seems to work pretty well. And like a lot of vacuums in this test, it ramps up the power as it detects dirt and ramps it down when it doesn't. So you got a pretty good battery life of realistically about 40 minutes of vacuuming in automatic mode. That's pretty solid. On carpet, both the Dyson V11 and the V15 picked up 100% of the sand we put down. When we tested suction at the wand, the Dyson V11 was 23 kilopascals, whereas the Dyson V15 was 31 kilopascals. That is by far the highest we've tested for any cordless vacuum. Airflow at the wand was very similar, with the Dyson V11 coming in at 41.7 meters per second and the V15 coming at 42 meters per second. By the way, those are the highest numbers we've ever tested for any cordless vacuum. And the canisters on all the Dysons are completely sealed, and I do want to talk about reliability and serviceability a little bit later in the video, but let's also talk about the other vacuums.
Now, the Dyson V11 has almost the same suction and airflow as the V15, but it doesn't come with the fluffy laser head, so you do save a little bit of money. It uses the same battery, and it also runs for about 45 minutes in auto mode. Now, the screen isn't as fancy, but both models are pretty good at anti-tangle with either head.
Looking pretty good.
The price of the V11 has come down quite a bit as well, so that's kind of nice. Now, I'll mention the V12 Detect as well, as it's in between the V11 and the V15, but personally, I'd spend a little bit more and get the more powerful model. And the other cool thing is all of these have a very good anti-tangle pet hair tool.
Now, the last one I'm going to mention is the Dyson V10. Sometimes you can get this on sale. It has a different body than the V15 and the V12 and the V11, but it's pretty powerful. I've been using this for about a year until I switched over to the V15. I think it's a very good value. Again, if you can find this at a discount, and all these Dyson products have actually come down in price from where they were a couple years ago. So if you're thinking about getting a Dyson in the past, but it was too expensive, take a look now. There's one more category. The super inexpensive value Barbie category. It actually comes with its own dirt, and the dirt is actually pre-cleaned for you.
Now, we've been getting a lot of comments about the long-term reliability and serviceability of some of the more expensive vacuums, and here's kind of what we have to say about that.
So I see in these comments that people are buying things like Dysons and other expensive vacuums, and sometimes they are difficult to get parts for, sometimes it's hard to get service for, and sometimes they don't last, and sometimes Dyson isn't that responsive. And there's not a whole lot I can say to that. I've got 3 Dysons that I've purchased. They've all been really good, but that does not necessarily reflect everybody's experience. So yes, I recognize that, but I still do recommend Dysons because I think they are really good performing vacuums, and I've been using them for a long time. The other thing is Shark. People love to hate on Shark, and I get that too. Shark is a mass market manufacturer. They make a lot of different vacuums. I find the performance really good. I've never had a problem with a Shark, but you can sort of look at me like a car reviewer where I get the vacuum for a week or so. I drive it around, I kick the tires, but I'm not using it for 2 years continuously. So yeah, these things may break. They're relatively inexpensive now. Yes, it's probably going to be harder to get repair for them. The only thing I can suggest is perhaps get a warranty, but that's really all that I can say on this topic. I just wanted to address it, and I recognize that none of these vacuums are perfect. If you want to have a vacuum that is perfect, that's not going to have these problems, you need to move to a Miele or a Sebo or something like this, and these vacuums are going to cost you at least $1,000 to $2,000 and upwards, and none of them are cordless and none of them are convenient. So our final thoughts on these vacuums, yes. If you're interested in purchasing any of them, it really helps us by purchasing at the links down below in the description. And there's another great video right over here, but buy this one.